Hello everyone, this is update for November 19, 2024, day 1000 of the war and of the date update. Also catch up for November 18 and 17. So first I'm going to start with a topic that's probably grabbing headlines, and specifically start of World War III, because US president allowed Ukraine to use US supplied missiles against military targets on the Russian territory. There is literally a panic in Western media among many sort of influencers that the World War III is imminent, it's complete disaster, and so on. So World War III is definitely not going to happen. It's not starting. There is no nuclear start of nuclear war as a result of this attacks carried out by Ukrainian forces. The answer is sort of very simple and straightforward. So first of all, Russian president has extremely good impulse control, and so he's not going to react impulsively. And the second thing is he is thinking long term. He's not looking for short term quick wins at the expense of the long term results. So he's long term focused, and it's actually his strengths, and that's I would say one of the major contributing reasons why Russia was able to withstand sanctions and sort of handle this war as long as it's able, and it's actually looking at this point on the verge of winning in this war and gaining control of Ukraine. And but another reason is because, and going back to this long-term thinking and ability to control urges, is a realization that Ukraine probably doesn't have many of those missiles. See numbers in the Western media, 50, let's say it's 100. It's not going to change anything. These missiles, this at best, there will be 50% success rate, which means 50 missiles, and most likely it's going to be like 30-25%. So it's not going to change anything. Ukraine will run out of these missiles fairly quickly, and then new administration is not going to give these missiles or allow attacks. So he can project the future. He understands that this is short-term reaction, and it actually very, I would say, strategically negative for Ukraine and generally for the West, because as a result of all of this, Russian president, Russia will show it's cool, that it's sort of, in quotes, responsible, and not going to initiate nuclear conflict, despite these attacks that obviously they present as aggression against Russia, which is obviously let's say complete distortion, but that's obviously Russian propaganda will present it that way. There's no question about it. In summary, this whole situation is too little too late. If this were happen in 2022, probably would be significant, especially when Ukrainian forces were on attack in the second half of 2020, meaning fall. That would really can lead to panic situation in the Russian side, and that actually could have meaningful results simply from a panic perspective on the Russian side. At this point, it's poking with the needle elephant. Essentially, this is what this is, so again, as I stated, this is net negative for Ukraine, especially it will backfire in the long run. In the process, I'm sure that Russia is preparing some retaliatory actions. We'll see when they happen. Most likely this will continue. This will allow basically Russian propaganda to explain why they would, let's say, attack energy assets in Ukraine or even bridges that connect eastern and western side of Dnipro River, because that's really, strategically, Russia could, I would say, devastate Ukraine if they were to attack bridges that connect Ukraine, basically bridges over Dnipro River. Because Dnipro River essentially cuts Ukraine roughly in half, and so there is not that many bridges, and if you destroy those, it may mean even collapse on the front line, and let's say it becomes very possible to capture everything on the eastern side of Dnipro River for Russia. So this might be the retaliation. All I'm just trying to say is that this allows Russia to ramp up escalation, and Russian propaganda will explain it away, especially to the sort of part of the world, the non-Western part of the world, where it's going to be sort of taking as okay. I think it was very short-sighted in the hindsight what was happening. I would say probably much better solution would have been bringing, let's say, 300 for 500 tanks or IFVs or 500 IFVs for Ukrainian army, or howitzers and so on. So that would be really much more meaningful in terms of outcome, because it really would help to at least quantitatively, weapon-wise, to stabilize situation, because otherwise things are pretty. Ukrainian army is essentially in early stages of collapse. And switching to this topic of collapse, this is not just sort of my statements, but actually the commander of the 12th Brigade, which is original Azov, he wrote article and essentially like a plea to the society, stating that we really need to reform completely from scratch Ukrainian army, otherwise it's just not capable to withstand Russian army. And the response was completely zero, nothing. And the reason for that is because Ukrainian political top is completely incompetent, low IQ, and simply just not know what to do. And so the most sort of practical reaction is just kind of ignore the problem, which I'm sure it will continue that way, and that will lead to sort of bigger and bigger collapses until it's a catastrophic collapse. And that's really sort of the path of least resistance for the Ukrainian army. Now I'm going to do a walkthrough in a clockwise fashion, the way I always do, starting from the Kursk region of Russia. And by the way, on this topic about this missile attacks, if you think just from big picture, like invasion perspective, from the way it presented by Russia, actually Ukrainian forces captured significant portion of Russian territory. So that could be already, if Russia wanted to start nuclear war, that would have been perfect excuse, because they can explain it away that Ukrainian troops invaded Russian territory and they defending. So again, going back to this whole hysteria around this nuclear attacks, Russia had already opportunities to do that, and they have not done it because they know that they're winning, and there's no point of starting a nuclear war if you're gonna win anyways. So very straightforward sort of hopefully answer. But let's move to Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces are slowly but surely losing territory that they captured in August. So in particular, they lost a little bit of territory north of this question marks. So again, Russian troops, the summary is Russian troops are slowly squeezing Ukrainian troops out. Now let's move to the situation north and northeast of Kharkiv, where things more or less quiet. There was some Ukrainian attempt at attacking village Lukansk, which failed. Totally unclear what drove that, because Ukrainian forces don't have resources, uh, to spend in this area. Now let's look at the situation on the North Luhansk section of the front line. Russian troops continuing their pressure in all of these main points, slowly moving forward. Just there's nothing major, no major villages or areas that were captured. It's just too small for the map, so I did not sort of update map in a sort of visual way. But Russian troops are slowly moving forward. The most important part of the sort of note is that Russian troops continuing to expand their control in the northeastern part of Kupiansk. This is the part of Kupiansk that on the eastern side of the Oskil River, and it's very clear where it's all going, that Ukrainian forces are going to lose eastern Kupiansk, or part of Kupiansk that's on the eastern side of the Skill River. Now let's move south. Let's look at the situation on the North Donbass front line. The northern part looks pretty quiet, uneventful. The southern part, actually, there's Russian success. Russian troops managed to find a hole in Ukrainian defenses. And again, this is going back to collapse of Ukrainian army, where some units sometimes retreat if they don't have good commanders, they don't have support, and so on, or they are just totally new. And so this is that type of opportunity where there was a hole, and Russian troops basically flooded into that hole and managed to advance significantly inside of Chasiv Yar. Now let's move again south to central Donbass section of the front line, where things really in crisis, complete crisis mode, on the border of catastrophic developments, which were sort of put off for now by Ukrainian command that's brought significant reinforcements into this area to stem Russian advance, and that temporarily sort of paying off. No major Russian advances in this whole area where I'm showing, from Pokrovsk to Sontsevka, even sort of situation around Sontsevka stabilized. However, in the southern part, this corner, the Russian troops do advance. They managed to actually, I would say, almost got to the center of Kurakhove. So in some ways, Kurakhove was already kind of lost because Russian troops already control significant portion of Kurakhove. And then also the more even painful is loss of this village Rozdolne, where again was a quick Russian attack, not much of resistance by Ukrainian forces, and they captured this village. And as you can see, this really means that Velika Novosilka is also done in the long run, not immediately, because the Russian troops continuing advance here, as you can see, and then again, typical situation of pincers. So this would have been another stronghold, but it's at this point the situation there's, I would say, is weakened so much that it's at this point it's weak defensive position, and in the long run, Ukrainian forces are gonna lose it. So this is, again, summary here is temporary stabilization with some losses in the southern part of it. And again, Rozdolne is extremely painful loss in the long run for Ukraine. Now let's move to situation on Zaporizhya front line, where things more or less quiet here. Not much is going on. Now let's finish with the front line along the Dnipro River, and things here, as always, are quiet. Thanks again for watching. Till next time. Bye bye.